Braves country.
Good afternoon, Braves country. We are coming to you live on the PSF app, YouTube, and we'll get going here on a couple other outlets. And if you're listening to us on 92.9 WQEE, good afternoon to you as well. If you want to catch this live, find us on social media. It is Braves Country Radio is what you're looking for. And we'll go ahead and get into it as, look, there's a lot of things going on in the world of Major League Baseball and a lot of things that we're going to have to get over here in the next, we'll try to keep this kind of tight here. Not a long show, not a lot to report on as far as what the Braves have done, but there are starting to become a clearer picture on what they will do, because you've got a lot of things that are about to happen in the world of Atlanta Braves baseball. You got the winter meetings that are coming up, and that will take place. It officially starts next Monday, but realistically it's Sunday night. Sunday night in Nashville, Tennessee, you will get the winter meetings, and you'll get, they're going to be taking place in Nashville. All your general managers are going to be in Nashville, and you'll start seeing. Now, here's an interesting thing that I heard today, and this is coming from Mark Feinsand, MajorLeagueBaseball.com, and he's usually pretty much in the know. And he believes that, and of course, the big domino everybody's waiting to fall is Shohei Ohtani. And he believes that Shohei Ohtani is going to get signed by the end of the winter meetings, which means Shohei Ohtani will have found his place by a week from Thursday at the very latest. Officially, the winter meetings go Monday to Thursday, but realistically, they go Sunday to late Wednesday night, because Thursday, most folks get on a plane and they head back to their prospective front offices, and they kind of unpack what they've already learned so far and what they want to put together with other teams. What the winter meetings are for, they're realistically for general managers to get together and talk trades. But also you have during those winter meetings a lot of communications with the free agents, their agents, and you usually get some big things signed. You really do. You normally get some big news on that week. And though it's 4 days, like I said, it realistically ends. It's very rare that Thursday morning that you get any kind of a news. Normally, everything happens by Wednesday, and then once everyone starts going back and hitting up because it's the big honchos that go to the winter meetings, but they've got to go back, and especially nowadays, they go back to their analytical departments and talk about, okay, well, this guy's available for this, and do we think he's worth it? Do we think this guy's worth it? And a lot of that will be communicated, obviously, today electronically, over the phone, et cetera, but some of these guys are still old school, and they like to get back into the room, get back home before they pull the trigger. You will get several deals next week. Now, whether or not it's the Braves, that's a totally different story, but you're going to get a lot of movement. And if you have any questions, any comments, put them into the chat. We'll hit them up at the end. Like I said, we're going on the PSF app. We're also on YouTube, on Braves Country Radio, and we're also going live on Facebook, Braves Country Radio as well there too. Everything's being transitioned. The name is being changed to Braves Country Radio across the board. There's a couple of entities that we have to wait a certain amount of time to change, but we're essentially Braves Country Radio going forward. So if you got any questions on that. Now, here's the thing for folks who may not have paid attention to it. This year, we're doing something totally different. We're going more all in on the play-by-play. We're planning on being on the PSF app probably once a week. We haven't determined what day that's going to be. But more to the point, we are going to be doing a pregame show. We'll come on about an hour before first pitch, and the pregame show will probably most likely be a tight 30 minutes leading into first pitch. Somewhere in that neighborhood, 30 to 45 minutes, depending if there's a lot of news breaking that day. And then we are going to do a postgame show. So the pregame show will be Braves Country today, and the postgame show will be Braves Country tonight. I haven't gotten together with all the guys running the radio side on whether or not it's all going to be one stream or if it's going to be separate streams, et cetera, but you get the idea. So we're going to be going all in on the Braves, and we're planning on bringing you just about every game this year. The Sunday afternoon games are going to be tough, but other than that, the game plan is going to be to bring you Monday through Saturday. And if nothing else, we'll put a chat up on the YouTube for Sunday. But we're going to try to bring you as many Sunday games as we can. It just gets a little tough on Sunday. Anyways, back to the rest of the story. So there's a lot of movers and shakers going out there. First of all, Sonny Gray, if you missed it, signs a 3-year deal with the St. Louis Cardinals. And why is this important? Well, the St. Louis Cardinals have been rumored to be in on the Dylan Cease trades. They've even been rumored to be going in on Shohei Ohtani. This is obviously most likely not the case at this point. It looks like going forward, I'm not going to say that the Cardinals are done, but as far as their splashy moves, I believe you've seen the end of it as far as pitching goes. Cardinals could still be adding via a trade. You can't take that out of the possibility, but on the free agent market, I don't think they're going to be players in with Ohtani. I don't think you're going to see them in any kind of a big time trade that would bring in Dylan Cease. I don't think you're going to see him on the free agent market going after an Erod. I don't think you're going to see them going after some of these guys. Blake Snell. They talked about Blake Snell quite a bit going to St. Louis. I always doubted it, but I was like, well, the one thing about St. Louis, they have shown the willingness to spend from time to time. They don't do it every offseason, but when they get their guy, they will be aggressive. And St. Louis, it's scoffed at by a lot of the major markets as not being a big-time player. St. Louis is a big-time player. You got to realize a lot of reasons why St. Louis has the ability to spend what they spend. Number one, with the Bullet, they're the only game in town anymore in St. Louis. Yeah, they got the hockey team, but we know hockey gets dwarfed by your major sports. And they don't compete with an NFL franchise. They don't compete with an NBA franchise. There's nothing big as far as college football is concerned in St. Louis, Missouri. So they are the game in town. Now, I'm not saying that they don't get a lot of fanfare with the Blues, but comparatively, you're talking about the difference between trying to sell out 15 to 20,000 a couple of nights a week, maybe, to trying to sell out a 50,000 seat stadium 81 times in a very short period of time. So it's a big difference between being a Major League Baseball city that is competing with the entertainment dollar. We'll just take like Chicago, for example. And though they haven't been great recently, you got the Bulls, you got the Bears, you got fans who only have X amount of money, and they're going to spend it accordingly. St. Louis can be aggressive from time because not only are they going to get great turnouts at their stadium every year, it goes without saying. They're usually right there at that 3 million mark. But in that area of the country, they are it. Everybody is a Cardinals fan in Middle America. In that region, obviously, as you go north, more Cubs fans and whatnot. But I'm telling you right now, just from experience, they are it. So, the Cardinals have been aggressive from time to time. By the way, I see someone with a comment. It's a chef coat. I am a chef during the day. I am a radio guy at night. So I usually try to change the shirt, but I said to hell with it today. I'm just going to run in here. I don't have time. Let's go. I barely got here on time. So we will be here on Mondays and Thursdays. Now, next week is a little different. Next week is the big week, the winter meetings. The plan is to be here Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday at 4 every day to react not only just with what the Braves do, but what other teams do. And Thursday, we will probably be on as well, as long as there's enough to report. Very, very good chance that we're going to be here on Thursday as well next week. So next week, you're going to get Braves Country Radio Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and most likely Thursday as well. We'll be coming on at 4 o'clock every single day just to keep it easy, keep it simple. But most weeks we're here Mondays and Thursdays, and we don't just talk about just the Braves. We talk about anything that affects us. And, of course, this Sonny Gray signings affects us. That is the guy. If you've been listening to the show, watching the show, however you consume us, thanks for subscribing and liking. Those who follow the podcast as well. You know that this has been a guy that I wanted for the Braves. And this is the exact reason why I wanted him. He's 34. He was second in the Cy Young voting. Had an ERA sub 3. And though he's 34 years old, he just signed a 3-year, what's being reported, 3-year, $75 million deal. So 25 a year. That is extremely, I'm not going to say club friendly because you're still paying $25 million, but it's under the radar. It's under the threshold of what like a Carlos Rodon got on an AAV. I guarantee you it's much less than what Max Fried's going to get next year. Max Fried's going to be out. I guarantee you Max Fried's going to go out there and bring in somewhere around 31 to about 35 million a year. But I still go back to the Braves are up to something. We still have 9 open slots on our. We have 9 open slots on our 40-man roster. Now, they won't all be big free agent moves, and they won't all come trade. There'll be some guys that will be promoted within, but they'll hold off on that. They don't have to make those decisions for several weeks. But you're starting to see the rumors swirl. And one of the ones, I've seen it a few times in a couple of the chats that we're in. I'll go ahead and hit the Dylan Cease. So they keep saying, will Dylan Cease go to Atlanta? Could it be the Dodgers? And I've got a list of the guys who are trade possibilities and what they're worth, what their control is and whatnot. Let's go ahead and hit Dylan's. I'll hit Dylan Cease first, although he is 4th on my list as far as ability. He's 4th on the list of guys being rumored to be traded. Dylan Cease is 28 years old. He has control through 2025. This year, he would be just $8.8 million. Now, the key numbers of that is this. If you go to make a trade for a guy that has more than 1 year left of control and on a very club-friendly $8.8 million, you're going to have to give up something that you probably don't want to give up. And we're talking about a couple of different guys here that could be in play. We're talking about, are you willing to give up A.J. Smith-Shawver? are you willing to give up Hurston Waldrop? That's a big ask for a guy who's only going to have a couple of years of control. And you're going to give up on guys who may be phenomenal down. Now, look, the difference between an AJ Smith-Shawver, a Hurston Waldrop, and a Dylan Cease has shown that he can compete at a high level at the Major League Baseball level. I really like what I've seen out of Waldrop so far. I would really hate to give up on him this early, but I could understand it because they're looking at this is their window. You look at the Atlanta Braves and what they have on control with their batters, and they've got guys who are under club control for the next 3, 4, even some of them 5 and 6 years. So if you're going to be honest and you're going to be genuine to the fan base who wants to see Atlanta make a run at the World Series and not just win a division, not just be okay with getting knocked out in the NLDS, you're going to have to trade parts that it's not going to be like the moves with Soroka. When the Braves traded Soroka a few weeks ago, no one was really that floored by it because we had seen it unfold for months and months and months and months. He just can't get back right. No one was floored, although I think a few of us were a little surprised when Kyle Wright was shipped off because Kyle Wright, he seems like he's got a high ceiling, but doesn't have that much of control left, and he's not pitching in 2024. So the number one question would be, what would you be willing to give up for Dylan Cease? And what are the White Sox asking? And one of the ideas that I saw battered around, Ryan Pepio of the Dodgers, who's 26 years old, but has control through 2028. So you're talking about a guy that, let's say he's a part of the trade, the White Sox, if they believe Pepio is a good fit, they get control of a guy via his contract for an extra 3 seasons. And that's the kind of thing they're going to be looking for. We're obviously not going to trade Spencer Strider. Max Fried is not an option if you're talking about making a trade with the team who's rebuilding. Because Max Fried is going to be a free agent at the end of this season. So if we do anything via Max Fried, because we have gotten this question quite a bit. If we're doing anything via Max Fried, it would be actually to get younger. We would be getting someone. They would never make the move, but it would be basically sending Max Fried to the Dodgers for Ryan Pepio. They would never make that move, but that would be the example. You would be moving Max Fried to get a pitcher that you were going, or even a couple of pitchers that you were going to have control over through at least, I mean, you're thinking at least 25, 26, probably 27 on up is what you're thinking as far as the controllable years. But that's the one that everyone wants to know about is the Dylan Cease. I love the idea. My biggest fear is you make that move. I would kind of like to want to talk to Dylan Cease, and I would want, not me, the Braves organization. I would want to know what's the likelihood that we can go ahead and lock you up long-term, similar to what we did with Spencer Strider. Because if we can do that and have him through, we'll say the 28-29 season, somewhere in that neighborhood, and get controllable years and get him at a decent price, I'm not talking about through the ceiling, I could be on board with that, meaning you have to get rid of an AJ Smith-Shawver. You have to get rid of a Hurston Waldrop. But if we're just going to move him in to pitch for a couple of seasons and we're going to lose one of those guys and we're going to be in the same boat next year after losing Max Fried to free agency, we're going to be on the last year of his deal. So that would be one of my things. It's very similar to what we did with Sean Murphy, and where we bring him in and boom, we instantly lock him up. No, Gary, Charlie Morton did not retire. The Atlanta Braves picked up Charlie Morton's option, so he will be back for 2024. As it stands right now, the Atlanta Braves pitching staff, or starting rotation, is Max Fried, Spencer Strider, Charlie Morton, and Bryce Elder. Now, one of the guys that I think would probably be involved in a deal, very much could be involved in a deal that no one has brought up, is Bryce Elder could be on the move. If you're going to go out and get a guy like a Dylan Cease, and let's say you're going to give up a young gun, they may want a Bryce Elder along with someone with a great upside. Now, maybe you don't have to surrender someone as electric at the top of the order, at the top of the prospect list as a Hurston Waldrop or an AJ Smith-Shawver. Maybe you don't have to do that. Maybe you can involve Bryce Elder with a couple of other players come to mind, but you would have to basically because look, when it comes to the Chicago White Sox, if you take a look at their roster right now and what they've done, by the way, I heard a great interview, I think it was this morning, with Nicky Lopez, who's obviously ex-Brave, but he's now a White Sox. I can't tell you how much I really hate that we traded him. Now, after hearing that interview, great kid, said everything right. I mean, I just really I hope there's a way down the road for them to possibly bring him back. Maybe some Jesse Chavez type action. Maybe he goes to the White Sox, he can't hit his own weight, and the Braves pick him up for a Sean Newcomb type of deal. But back to reality, if the Braves have to move Bryce Elder, let's say you send Bryce Elder to the White Sox for Dylan Cease, and then you have to give up something, because they're not just going to do that even, Steven. Though Elder had a good season, he doesn't have the stuff that Dylan Cease has. So you would be giving up him and something else. Could it be a Vaughn Grissom? It would hurt. But it all comes down to what are we willing to sacrifice to bring in a Dylan Cease. Now, here's some other options that are also on the table. Tyler Glasnow, everyone, and I'm in that same camp, we're convinced that he's going to be moved. He is going to be a free agent at the end of this year. If you have not watched Tyler Glasnow pitch much, Tyler Glasnow is the top of the board on who's available out there. I don't care what anybody says. There's not a pitcher with better stuff than Tyler Glasnow out there. If he's indeed going to be traded, and the Rays are not going to be able to re-sign Glasnow, he's the number one guy. But he has had some injury issues. But if you're talking about pure stuff, there's no one that even remotely touches Tyler Glasnow. But he is going to be a free agent at the end of next year. So if you make that move, what are they asking to give up? And is it worth it? Although he keeps being linked to the Atlanta Braves, I just feel like typically, unless once again, Anthopoulos has that conversation, says, hey, Tyler, we want to bring you over. But if we're going to bring you over and give up these pieces, we want to know what you're looking at long-term to be able to sign you, because we want to get this over with. We want to move on. Glasnow's 30 years old, so you could give him a 4-year deal. You could even go 5 if you really wanted to and have something built for the future. But Glasnow is the top when it comes to stuff. Just a touch below him, and I mean just a touch below him, would be Corbin Burns. Corbin Burns, I mean, it's basically 1A and 1B for me. Once again, he is a 2024 free agent. At the end of next season, he's going to be a free agent. Let's see. We'll see a couple of the questions I got here. Can the Mets sign Ohtani or Yamamoto? I give the Mets a much better chance of signing Yamamoto than Ohtani. Ohtani has made it clear that he wants to win, and the Mets are in a bit of a rebuild. Yamamoto is 25 years old and worth every damn dime. And if I'm telling you right now, if I'm the Mets and I can sign Yamamoto, I'm going all in. And I have heard, this is another thing that's in the Mets' favor on that. I've heard that Yamamoto, unlike Ohtani, Yamamoto really is looking to play on a team that already has Japanese players because just the familiarity. Well, Kodai Senga fits that bill, and would the Mets, and the Mets had great success with Senga. That's one of the few bright spots in 2023 for the New York Mets was Kodai Senga. So Yamamoto, 25 years old. I've been saying for a while that I thought he would end up a New York Met. And I hate it because he's going to be damn good. But Ohtani, I believe, is either going to be a Dodger. The Seattle Mariners have already pretty much said that they're out of the race, so we'll set them aside. I think Ohtani, if you're handicapping in Vegas and you say, give me 4 teams that's realistic, and you put them in order, it's the Dodgers 1, the Giants 2. To me, the Red Sox make a ton of sense at number 3. And then number 4, outside chance, possibility, because he's been quoted several times about how impressed he was when he came and played in the stadium and the winning culture. He has nothing but great things to say. The Braves have an outside chance. I just have my doubts that the Braves are going to spend that kind of money. To go out and spend 50 to 60 million on a guy a year who will not pitch in 2024. And we don't know if he'll pitch in 2025 or if he does, when he does. That's a lot to ask. Gary says, what's going on in right field? What do you mean? The National MVP, the National League MVP is going on in right field. Ronald Acuna Jr. is going on in right field. What are we talking about here? We're doing a lot of things, but we're not changing the right fielder. Can the Yankees City sign Cody Bellinger? So Corbin Burns, I think that's what you were trying to spell. Corbin Burns is not a free agent. Corbin Burns has to be traded. So I do think the Yankees have a very good chance of signing Cody Bellinger. And I think it would be a great fit for Cody. Left-handed hitter, Yankee Stadium, let's go. And he bet on himself. Remember, he signed that 1-year deal with Chicago this past year, and he had a phenomenal season. But with all that being said, I mean, I would absolutely see. I've been saying for a while that I believe Cody Bellinger ends up in a Yankee uniform. If he doesn't, I do think a couple of teams outside of him returning to the Cubs, which is a very good possibility as well. I think you're going to see the Red Sox be a little more aggressive this offseason now that they've cleaned house in the front office. I think you're going to see a lot of teams come at Cody Bellinger, and he's in that perfect wheelhouse. From the season he just had, Cody Bellinger is going to, remember, he's in his late 20s, so it feels like he's been around forever. Like, I feel like I grew up watching Cody Bellinger. He's still a young man, and he's going to have an opportunity to sign a 5-year deal or more or longer, and he's going to get paid top dollar. So I've seen some Braves outlets that have suggested the Braves are going to go in for there. It's not realistic. Braves are not going to spend that kind of money on left field when they still have the holes that they have in the pitching rotation. The next guy on the list, so we talked about Dylan Cease. We talked about Corbin Burns, Tyler Glasnow. The next guy on the list, and he is once again another free agent that's going to be on the block at the end of next season, would be Shane Bieber. His number is $12.2 million. I think he's a very likely candidate for the Braves to make a trade, because I don't believe that Cleveland is going to ask for the moon and stars for Bieber. I think they're going to want a solid deal, but they're not going to try to pickpocket you. They're more willing to trade him to the National League than the American League for obvious reasons. And because you only get 1 year of control, they can't really hold your feet to the fire. Now, teams like Milwaukee, teams like Cleveland, teams like Tampa, they could always hold out and trade at the deadline. But the problem with the Rays holding on to Glasnow is this. If you haven't followed this, the Tampa Bay Rays right now, their team value, roster value, is close to 47 million higher than they've ever paid before. So with that being said, Tyler Glasnow, who's going to make $25 million this year, they're going to try to move him. And I don't think that's the only move that Tampa Bay makes, but that's a huge chunk of change that you can get off your books before 2024 begins. What else do we have here? Did you hear about passing of Ron Hot? No, I did not see that, Lane. That's sad news. The thing about Bieber, $12.2 million, so it's kind of a hefty price, and it's a free agency. I'm sorry, he's a free agent at the end of next year. That's going to drop the number a bit. Glasnow, same situation. I don't think you're going to have to give up a ton, because he is 30 years old. He is going to make $25 million this year. You're really clearing the books to help them out. And that could honestly end up being a 1-for-1. That is a type of move that I could see the Braves say, here's Bryce Elder, we'll take Glasnow, and we're going to make a run here. That's a real possibility. And they've got the money. They have moved some things around. Braves have talked about how they expect to be somewhere in the neighborhood of a top five market within the next few years. And they've talked about there's a strong possibility that they could be in the top 5 in Major League Baseball payroll this year. Now, a lot of that has to do with how crazy does everybody else spend. They're not projecting that off of what everyone may spend this year. They're projecting off of last year. And the Braves were in the top 10, so it wouldn't be a huge jump to go to the top 5. With that being said, if like Texas and the Mets and the Yankees and the Red Sox and the Dodgers and whatever, and they go out and they just blow the doors off, the Braves aren't going to go chase that. The next tier, because those by far, when you talk about Tyler Glasnow, Corbin Burns, Dylan Cease, and Shane Bieber, the next tier of guys that you have the ability to go out and get would be this. Blackburn, 30 years old, $3.2 million. And he's a solid pitcher. Now, he doesn't have a lot of swing and miss stuff, but he is a solid veteran pitcher. You would have control for him for 2 more years through 2025. Oakland A's, that is a solid starter to put in the rotation. But he's not a guy that you're going to put in October and go, that's our number 2, that's our number 3. He's just another guy. He's a guy that can go out there and be a solid 4, solid 5 on this rotation. Solid 3 if he outperforms Charlie Morton. But he's not a guy that you're going to do backflips over if you get. A guy that could be that, but I do believe you're going to have to give up a lot because he is controlled through 2027, and that's Logan Gilbert. Logan Gilbert is only going to make $4.9 million this year, estimated arbitration. $4.9 million. He's controlled through 2027. I don't really understand why they would want to trade him, but it has been rumored that he's on the trade block. And if he's on the trade block, man, I'm standing in line for that one. I'm standing in line for it because Logan Gilbert is solid. You see when you watch Gilbert pitch, the ball comes out of his hands so easily. It's crazy. And he would flourish in the Atlanta rotation. Now here's some other ones. These are really, I won't call them bottom of the barrel, but you're taking a much more risk. Alex Manoah of the Toronto Blue Jays, he's had some really good seasons. And then last year was a dumpster fire. Looked like he cleaned it up a little bit at the end. But he was absolutely brutal at the in the beginning of the season. Heck, they had to take him down to AAA. That's how bad it was. With that being said, he is controllable through 2027, and he throws a heavy ball. If they can keep him correct in the strike zone, there's been questions about a lot of things with Manoah, but one of the things is his dedication to his training. He seems to always come in to spring training out of shape. So that's one of the biggest questions, and a lot of folks contributed his inability to go the distance. And also a lot of folks felt like that the huskier dudes were going to struggle with the new pitch clock, and Manoah was one of those guys. Clark Schmidt is an interesting one. He's a solid pitcher, but these guys have really been linked into if they make a big move, they would move. In other words, if the Yankees made a big move to get like a Dylan Cease, Clark Schmidt would be involved in the deal. It's not really someone that the Braves are going to be going after. Same thing with Ryan Pepio, who I watched him pitch last year a couple of times. He's got damn good stuff, but the Dodgers aren't trading Ryan Pepio to the Braves. So those guys are really more likely to be moved. Like I could see a Ryan Pepio to be involved in a deal that brought in Dylan Cease. So there you have that. And other quick notes, Jason Hayward signed a 1-year, $9 million deal to go back to the Dodgers. You know, that's his first time he had an 800 OPS since 2012 when he was with the Atlanta Braves. Kenta Maeda, he's off the board, 2 years, $24 million for Detroit. I still really like Eduardo Rodriguez to the Braves. But the question is going to be, how long of a deal is he expecting? He's a little long in the tooth. I think he's 30, 31. Is he expecting a 5 to 7 year deal, or is he good with a 3 to 4 year deal? But if we could bring in a dominant lefty like Erod, that would be phenomenal. What was the other thing? I thought there was one more deal. Oh, did you see this story? So it's Cyber Monday. Arizona Diamondbacks are selling season tickets as low as $299. That's like $3.50 a game. That makes me want to move to Arizona. What the hell? Wouldn't that be awesome? I don't care where they put you in the stadium. For that little, let's go. All right, well, we're going to go ahead and get out of here. I don't see any other big questions. See, they're watching us in, let's see, a couple of folks have put it in. They're watching us in what? Well, they're watching us in St. Louis, Missouri. We talked quite a bit about St. Louis. They're watching us in Ohio. They're watching us in Murfreesboro, Tennessee, and they're watching us in Alberta, Canada. So there you have that. We're going to get out of here. We'll see you Thursday. Hopefully with some more news. We're getting close. 6 days. 6 till we get to the winter meetings. Have a great one, y'all.
You're in Braves country.